I'm Dr. Srilakshmi. In this session, I'm going to brief you about self-appraisal, methods, benefits, and we shall also take samples of few appraisal forms. And let's discuss few tips how to make appraisal an important aspect of performance appraisal. So you need to know the background of it. An appraisal entails asking an employee to reflect on and assess their job performance over a period of time. The overall performance appraisal is to put an employee in charge of their own professional development. It is an important part of the performance appraisal purpose and the process, where the employee himself gives the feedback on his or her views and points regarding her performance. If employees understand their objectives and criteria used for evaluation, they will be in a good position to appraise their own performance. So, self appraisal is the process of evaluating one's own performance. This can help an employee to improve their commitment to the appraisal process, perception, and be fair, and satisfaction with the appraisal process. It can be also used to identify the areas which requires development and training. The popular definition of appraisal says that self-appraisal is a general belief in one's abilities to achieve aims. If employees understand their objectives and criteria, they are in a good position to appraise their performance. It is a self-development activity. The ones who appraise their own performance may become more and highly motivated at workplace. According to Kitzing, he says appraisal process is a continuous and an ongoing process of gathering information about one's professional performance, reviewing it, and then planning future course of action. The future course of action could be for identifying training areas, or it can also be identifying the new projects where one can be posted based on their appraisal. And it will help to design a program for self-development. So according to Kitzing, it is not a one-time process, it is a continuous process. With this background, we need to discuss and understand the purpose of self-appraisal. Why is this practice there in the organization? By conducting self-appraisals, an employee are able to provide an opportunity to recapitulate the various activities which he or she has undertaken and the role played. What are their achievements, their failures, the challenges, and they can also recall and understand what skills they have demonstrated in the past and what areas they had behavioral issues. The next is to identify his or own development needs. Not everyone is perfect. Not everyone's learning is 100%. One requires to report to his higher officials about the areas in which he needs to develop and progress. Hence, it helps to communicate to his reporting officers who play a vital role in his promotion or for training needs to identify the areas in which he needs to assess more objectively. And every organization focuses on overall annual review. And this information helps an organization to identify the key performing employees and strengthen them, and to reflect the strengthened self-initiated development proposals for managerial effectiveness. So, the purpose of self appraisal is not just for an individual growth and progress, but also for the organizational development. What is the importance of this self appraisal? It is necessary to establish dignity. It helps every individual person to identify his value system and its importance in organization. By doing so, his moral satisfaction improves. It helps him to have an inner harmony, ensuring a reasonable self-confidence and to have a better way to reduce conflicts at the organization. And it helps an individual to become critical. An adequate self-appraisal implies the ability to set oneself realizable goals and to control the flow of negative thoughts, and it helps them to be more self-critical. It helps you to measure level of expectations. In performing the very important task of an organization, one has to control their behavior and set an example for others and lead the team to assure everyone achieves more. And next, it's important to abandon a wrong action. A true appraisal will help an individual to understand and realize what will help him to yield good results and what are those wrong habits which he has to drop for self growth. Once he understands the importance, either he or she will do a perfect assessment. But no system is left without limitations. There are few limitations of self appraisal. Many times it leads to defensiveness and alienation. The research shows that self ratings sometimes may be biased. Either it could be undervalued or it can be to focus on put on the spot. And sometimes it is also creeped in by gender biases. So research has found that women judge the quality of their work sometimes low to the other gender. So that might be a limitation. But there are certain ways to improve our self appraisal. So let's discuss how to make self appraisal more effective. Rather, you call it as tips. One has to be honest while telling the accomplishments or failures. It is always necessary to be prepared before filling the form or before getting into the process of self evaluation. So, preparation is a must. One has to be objective. Do not exaggerate or downplay your achievements. Be specific and concise. And one has to have always a positive attitude towards the whole appraisal process. Cover all the aspects, not just focus on strengths or weaknesses. Cover even accomplishments, failures, and hurdles faced. And it is necessary to take up responsibilities. And the job is not confined to what is being signed as an agreement. One has to be having that openness towards contributing the organization. If these tips are taken care, definitely the appraisal process will be a fruitful one. And there are certain things which you have to remember when you're doing your self appraisal. Understand the purpose, and results matter way more than responsibilities. So focus on outputs, not inputs. Don't hide your weaknesses. Talk about them. Therefore, you will be able to get some solutions. Do not indulge in criticizing others. Add growth opportunities and what you need from the organization and the stakeholders. Definitely ask those questions. Keeping this in mind, you can do better at your appraisal process. Let us have a few samples of appraisal forms. The most likely questions will have these options: agree, don't agree, somewhat agree, strongly agree, and totally agree. So these are the common questions. I know and understand the responsibilities of my job. I know my supervisor. I know my workload. I know what problems I have. What are my benefits? Am I productive in the job? Am I an active team player? What is my company's long term goals? Am I familiar with the organization structure? So these are few common questions, and the individual is asked to fill these columns. And let's take another example of another form where date is mentioned, employee name, and certain areas of evaluation like building trust, delivering results, collaboration, and communication. You have many more appraisal forms. The one which fits your job profile, you can match it. Thanks for learning online.